Well, the other big story we're following, El Salvador's president taking full responsibility for the migrant deaths and rampant exodus to the United States.
Split blame to any other country. But what about our blame? They fled our country. It is our fault. We haven't been able to provide anything. Not a decent job, not a decent school. The best thing that we can do is to fix the problems and make our country a place where nobody has to migrate. I think migrate is a right, but it should be an option, not an obligation.
Well, here to weigh in, Research Director for the Center for Immigration Studies, Stephen Camarota. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Good morning. So
what do you think about that? You know, young, new president there in El Salvador, relatively speaking, saying that he's going to change things. He's going to fix poverty and unemployment, the violence and the government corruption to keep people there.
Right. Well, it is really refreshing for the president of one of the Central American countries to at least acknowledge the failures of their elites. Remember, El Salvador has been independent almost as long as the United States, and its failure developed really does rest with a lot of official corruption and a whole series of decisions that the society has made over the last 200 years. So at least the president is acknowledging, hey, we play some role in pushing people out of our country. Now, it's true the elites had kind of liked it because it was a way of like an escape valve, a pressure valve for all those people they couldn't find jobs or provide services for. So that's true. But at least he's being honest. That's unusual.
And all of those Salvadorans abroad, they send back a lot of money. In fact, take a look at this number. Almost 1/5 of El Salvador's population lives in the U.S. That's 22% of El Salvadorans. And then in 2018, they sent approximately $5.4 billion in payments back.
Right, and that represents a huge fraction of the whole GDP of El Salvador. So, but of course, it's kind of, again, it's worked as a way of sort of taking the elites off the hook, because what's happened is that money comes home and it essentially provides income for households so they don't have to work in El Salvador. So I think it's fair to say that El Salvador's elites haven't really had the incentive to reform because they have this escape valve and the money coming back.
Yeah, and according to some reports, 110 million went to what's referred to as the Northern Triangle, which is El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. So we need to do something about all those countries. But let's move forward into this latest issue with AOC versus the CBP. Border chiefs, they're firing back. They started firing back yesterday at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's explosive claims, amongst other things, that migrants are forced to drink some toilet water. Listen to what she said.
These women were being told by CBP officers to drink out of the toilet. They were drinking water out of the toilet, and that was them knowing a congressional visit was coming. This is CBP on their best behavior.
So here's what CBP had to say in reference to that. They said no one is drinking toilet water. They're drinking potable water from the sink attached to the toilet. It's what you would find in every municipal jail in the United States. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the comments themselves are very strange, and it's really a big distraction from the real issue, which is the failure to provide enough resources to both enforce the law and house people. And that has been a problem. That has been a resource issue, but the democratically controlled Congress does bear some of the responsibility, actually, most of the responsibility. Trump said it was a crisis. They kept saying it wasn't. He asked for more money, and they didn't give it to him. In this particular case, I would say she's mostly responsible, she and her fellow Democrats.
Well, she voted no twice.
A lot of the comments.
She herself twice, yeah.
In this particular case, I think that's true. They bear much of the responsibility for what's happened.
You know, the other issue that is going to be discussed today, the CBP involved in this Facebook group, approximately, I'm not sure how many individuals from CBP allegedly mocking migrants and Democrats, including AOC. And before you discuss it, here's what they have to say. They say today, U.S. Customs and Border Protection was made aware of disturbing social media activity hosted on a private Facebook group that may include a number of CBP employees. CBP immediately initiated an investigation. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would just say this. Let's wait for the investigation. The bottom line is CBP, the Border Patrol, is the one group I think that's largely blameless. The migrants themselves are knowingly violating the law. The elites in their country are encouraging it. We have a series of foolish loopholes, and Congress that's encouraging it, and Congress has failed to allocate resources. There are many groups to blame. The one group that's trying, and I think doing the best they can, is the Border Patrol. They didn't create the problem. They're not the source of the law breaking. They're trying to treat people professionally and humanely. Now, if there's some bad apples in there, then I think we have to take action. But by and large, this is a professional organization that's saving lives.
Every single day, they are saving lives, and it's not getting reported. Stephen Camarota, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right.